The person we are looking for. Based on the evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's profile.
What? No. Absolutely impossible. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal of calming his mind.
Is that...
Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, it's that Yuya would never... But, with that said, I also cannot know what course of action he might be capable of if coerced, or otherwise compelled by Anyway, should you find him, please...
Don't worry. You have our word.
From the sound of that, Paimon doesn't think Yuya was the one who...
Yes. It sounds as if something happened. Let's pay a visit to the...
Okay. I'm on TV.
I'm very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay. My husband has gone missing, and I'm still trying to...
No, you misunderstand.
Ah, I see. I thought the debt collector... I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state. Has some new information come out?
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. With this in mind, can we...
For example, Paimon's struggling to understand...
That's a long story. Ever since I've known him, he's been an avid collector of all sorts. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself, but seeing how enthusiastic and excited they made him, I was happy to believe that they were just... Everything was fine when we first got married. But as time went by, things changed for the worse.
Uh-oh! What?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more things, and even resorted to borrowing money. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. There were days when he'd spend hours down at the warehouse, admiring his weapons even as debt collectors were descending upon. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. Just sat there staring at them like he was in a trance. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first. I've tried talking. On the last day that I saw him, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, if he refused to sell his collectibles and pay off his debts, I would divorce.
Whoa!
And that led to an arc.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man who likes to go with the flow. You must understand, I never would have dreamed of threatening him with divorce if the debts hadn't pushed our family to the After I said those words, he froze and was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, he awkwardly... His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen to our family? Had I not indulged his bad habits, we wouldn't have found ourselves in such a predicament. And I also don't know if he had actually come to his senses. The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and both he and the buyer had gone missing.
I see. Amenoma Yuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato. During the sale, a fire broke out at the warehouse.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into an argument, but my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries, so it's hard to imagine him getting into a fierce argument.
Maybe he was feeling the pressure from the debts?
I don't know. He just disappeared after the warehouse burned down. Perhaps he's too afraid to come home, now that all his collectibles have been lost in the fire, and he's got no way to pay off our debt. Even though I'm still a little mad at him. We're a fan. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know we can work.
Please don't get upset. There could be more to the... If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, it is quite unusual for this, but the information we gathered from the other side suggests Amenoma Yuya is also a mild-mannered man who would not be like... This situation...
A little confusing.
Let's try a change of scenery. And rest assured, we'll notify you if we...
Thank you so much.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the sales meeting between the two... The fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded, though its exact role is a mystery. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, Paima was thinking that maybe someone accidentally knocked over an oil lamp and, Nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
An interesting explanation. I was also considering this possibility. Amenoma Yuya is an expert on swords. He could have noticed some problematic... Maybe he recognized a blade as a fake, or a well-known stolen item. Either way, after arguing about it, the two men agreed to hide the truth. They thought a fire would destroy everything. But then the Tenryou Commission began investigating and uncovered some incriminating detail. But it's a far-fetched theory. I can't... One fact that I keep coming back to is that Amenoma Yuya is polite and well-mannered, while Mr. Nagato is introverted. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the only one of them with the potential motive. The more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes. Just what could have happened there? Right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no other details that we've learned seem to link the two events together. Amenoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a practitioner of the blade testing techniques of Amenoma art, not those of the combat-oriented Ishin art.
Darn! We thought we could get two birds with one stone here, but at this rate...
Let's keep going, since we've come this far. If we can solve the case, both Mr. Amenoma and Mrs. Nagato will be able to get some closure.
Okay, but where...
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse. There's still... Wait. I hear something ominous in the wind.
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you... As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that vision thief at Beto's tournament, so...
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the sound. It's right...
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now, but I can still sense the direction it left in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma. The remnants of the Tatarigami. Indeed. But this unexpected spring of we should remain vigilant and approach slowly.
So it's an underground...
The force is definitely coming from down below. The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place. But the residue it left judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude that the
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the warehouse by himself a lot.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that time. From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could explain why he became an obsessive hoarder, amassing more and more possessions.
So what should we do now?
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside. If we don't open this door, we can move no closer to the truth. You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than this. Relatively speaking, the risk here is trivial.
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse to rubble.
That was too scary! Paimon was so sure that the warehouse boogeyman was about...
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami... Two ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. I fear much misfortune. Yes, let's go. Quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around you. Perhaps you too will pursue... From this point, the trail appears to split. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance, but a small portion remained here, and seems to be dissipating slowly.